Oh, it's a big day. It is day before Turkey Day, day before Thanksgiving, and boy, the activity in our worlds is just so much right now. There is so much to do, so much to think about, places to be, things to get buttoned up, things to get ready. We got maybe we got family or friends coming in. It is just a busy, busy time of year. Day before Thanksgiving. What is this? Is this the busiest travel day of the entire year? I think it is. Ah, man, we have a lot to talk about. Today, by the way, is the last day to take advantage of Optical Expressions eyewear event. You get to choose from a special selection of frames from $99 for single vision plastic lenses. If you need progressives, that's no problem. They've got packages starting at $239. So some really, really great rates for a new set of specs. Is if that's what you need, you can use your HSA dollars before the year's end and get some quality eyewear at an affordable price. And that's what we've been saying on Facebook, and that's what we've been saying into the microphones, and we want to get you over to Optical Expressions on the fourth floor of the Blanchard Block right here in the Granite City. We start every Wednesday with Deb Phillips from The World. Deb and Gary are two of the busiest people I know. Deb, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, JD. Doing great. I have to say, my husband did take advantage of he's getting new glasses from Optical Expressions.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah. Quite the deal.
here's the thing. I know that I need the progressives, but I'm not telling anyone that. I will not say that into the microphone that I need bifocals. I won't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great place, and a company that has done some great advertising with The World over the years.
Yeah, we definitely. So let me tell you what's going on in the world. We have a lot in this week's paper. We have the Montpelier Flannel Friday this Friday. We have a full page. In addition to the special savings at the local stores, they also have the Flannel Fairy. We'll be giving out gift cards. So be sure to watch out for the Flannel Fairy. Also, this week, we have the Christmas and Wreath Directory, and we have Thanksgiving wishes from local businesses, and plus a bunch of holiday events, craft fairs, and things like that that's going on.
Wow, I mean it's always so packed. It really is.
Oh,
You guys always have so much going on in there, Deb.
well, we definitely try to keep it local and get everything we can into the paper.
Anything else in today's issue that you'd like to throw out there?
Well, we have a flyer from Agway in Montpelier that's inserted in this week's paper. And then, we have plus a page devoted to events and stuff in Northfield and Williamstown.
Very nice. Very nice. I know there's always so much in there. You guys do such a great job. And for folks that might want to advertise, might want to put something out there, what's the deadline for that, Deb?
Well, our deadline is today for next week's paper because of Thanksgiving. Normally, the deadline is Thursdays.
All right. Easy to get in touch with you guys. Of course, sales at vt-world.com if you want to shoot over an email with your graphics or whatever it is in your text of your text body of what you want to advertise. But 802-479-2582 and vt-world.com if you want to, see what the rates are and the sizes and all that good stuff. But so many people, 20 to 30,000 people a week, Deb, looking at the world.
That's right. That's right, JD.
Incredible. Big hello to Gary and a happy Thanksgiving to you guys. By the way, Jeanette Kingsbury is going to be coming on the air with me on Tuesdays and or on Mondays rather, and I am so excited to have her from the Central Vermont Chamber of Commerce to highlight some of the things going on in the chamber chatter, but she's always talking about you guys.
Yeah, well, and you'll have fun with her interview. She's always a
Absolutely.
lot of fun.
Yes, she is. She is. Understatement right there.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you,
Well,
Deb.
thank you, and happy Thanksgiving to you too.
Happy Thanksgiving. Deb Phillips and Gary Haas, of course, just two of the big hitters over there at The World newspaper. We are celebrating over 50 years now. What is it, 53 years? Something like that? Amazing. I have with me my friend, my guest this morning. He's got his Free Hugs shirt on. I got my Free Hugs shirt on as well. Pat Fish, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Amazing. How are you, my friend?
Brother, I'm a little saddened that you're not here, that I'm not able to give you a free hug.
We can virtual hug it for right now, JD. We can virtual hug it.
Dude, I haven't seen you in so long, man. Your family over at Sweethearts and Heroes has been hitting it so hard every single Wednesday, relentlessly injecting nothing but positivity into the airwaves here at the Aired Out Podcast.
And I wish I could say that I've listened to them live. I have not listened to a single one of those live. I've been at a different school every single one of those days, as we kind of discussed, as you were like, hey, when are you going to come back on? And we're busy, we're busy. We're going around to different schools all over the Northeast. And, Tom told me when I first joined the team, he said, look, sadly, we're in a business of hopelessness, and it's a business that it's out there and it exists and it's never going to go away. And, we can keep combating it. We can keep battling it. But the first thing is showing up. So I've been really happy to see, when I've watched back, whether it's the full interviews or the clips of, my friend Brian, who's been on here quite a few times, and Loudon, Winton, some of the people that have been, stepping in and really doing a great job on your podcast. And thank you for interviewing us and putting our platform out there, JD.
And Josiah too. I mean, you guys are all heavy. You're all heavy hitters.
Yeah, we got a great little team over here. It's a small team, but it's a always growing team. And I couldn't be more proud of Josiah. He joined our team really towards the end of not last year's May, the May beforehand, and he's really just grown, as a member of our team in his confidence. He's always had it in him to be a really great leader in schools and really great communicator, but he started from scratch. Josiah will be the first to tell you he was homeschooled growing up. He doesn't know what it's like to be in school and doesn't know what the school system operates like. And within those confines, that's a piece of what we do. Understanding the building that we're going into helps us understand the culture. And he's really just, hit it full throttle and became a really great member of Sweethearts and Heroes.
Heads up here, I am going to be asking you to give the definition of what Sweethearts and Heroes is. What is it that you do and who you are and all that stuff. But before I do that, I got to tell you, man, it's every single time someone from Sweethearts and Heroes comes on the air, it leaves me with so much stuff to think about. To be even more transparent with you, I love listening to stuff when I'm in my truck. When I'm driving, when I'm alone, I love to be engaged in and listening to stuff. And usually that's satellite radio. I escape, I go somewhere, I listen to new content. On Wednesdays, after I'm done chatting with Sweethearts and Heroes, I find myself getting into my vehicle and not having any music or any chatter or anything on, but silence, so that it's still resonating with me. My 40-minute drive after I leave here, that's what I'm thinking about, is what you guys are saying on my podcast is really powerful stuff.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I thought at first you were discussing, sometimes I get done with a group of seventh graders at the end of the day and I need 40 minutes of silence in my car afterwards. as well from all the talking that I hear. But it's not for that; it's for the words that we're saying.
Yeah.
That's really great because I know that every single one of us, for the most part, we have a job where we talk.
Yeah.
So we can and you too. So we can talk people's ears off sometimes, but it's nice to hear that as you get in the car, you're really thinking about some of the stuff that's being said on these podcasts. And I think the clips that I've seen, those really kind of small sections, everybody that has been on has done a really nice job spreading our message and talking about what it is to be a sweetheart and what it means to be a hero. And that's really a testament to our leadership as well. When I came on board, Tom took me under his reins a little bit. And, since then, I can probably count on one hand the amount of times where I said something and he's gone, ooh, maybe we should do it this way. He trusts me fully, and I think he trusts everyone fully to be their own person. Now, if you come to him and you have a question, he's always happy to answer and help out. But he really kind of, puts trust in us to do our own thing, which is a really great thing.
I want to get caught up with you. I want to hear about where you've been, what you've done. I know that you've been incredibly busy over the last couple of months now. But first, set us up here a little bit for folks that may not be familiar with you, may not be familiar with what we do here at the Aired Out Podcast on Wednesdays. Who is Pat Fish, and what in the heck is Sweethearts and Heroes?
Well, two awesome questions, JD. The first one, a little bit easier to explain. Pat Fish is a guy from South Glens Falls, New York, who grew up and didn't want to really grow up, as many of us, have those situations as we do grow up where we feel like, hey, let's still keep having fun. I didn't want to go into anything school related because I didn't really like school growing up. I now get to go to school every single day, but I get to pull kids out of class, goof around, and have fun and play games. That's what I like to say. My master's degree is in organizational psychology, and I definitely tie that in the schools that I am in. But first and foremost, I like to have fun. And then Sweethearts and Heroes, I got some practice the last 2 days. I was in a school that I haven't been in since 2021. And usually when I go into schools, even if I've just been there once before, most of our team will tell you I have a decent memory when it comes to this type of stuff. And I could not remember a single person's face at this school. And I was like, what is going on? Am I just getting old? Why can't I recognize any of it? It was because the last time I was there, everybody had masks on. And so it's been a while since I had been in this school. So with that being said, we were reintroducing a lot of our concepts. Tom and Rick presented at their school in May, which that is probably, not the most ideal time to bring in any type of presentation at a school, because by May, kids are usually tuning out of stuff. But the students remembered it. And, I would, reintroduce some of the messaging of the presentation. I'd say, my two bald friends were here in May. One of the guys was on the screen kicking and punching people. And then there was another guy that was bald because he got blown up. And usually kids are like, they're my friends. I can talk about them like that. It's fine. And as we start discussing, I go, well, one of my bald friends, he talked a little bit about how in the 16th century, when the word bully was first invented a really, really long time ago, it meant sweetheart. And it was never meant to be used as that mean, scary bully that we think of that's, give me your lunch money and pushes people around. It was supposed to be somebody that pushed you, but to make you better. And as you look around the room, I might find, that young man who's a big basketball player, or that, young lady who's a great soccer player. And I'll say, you probably have a coach in your life that pushed you, but in a good way. You might not always like it, but they made you run those extra sprints. They made you make those extra layups. That's a 16th century bully. That's a sweetheart. In some ways, it's some of your teachers, that teacher that actually can get you to do your work. Or maybe it's just that friend, when you're in 5th grade, it's that friend that you go to the amusement park and you are afraid to ride any of the rides. So you're pretending you're going to go to the bathroom instead of getting on the rides. Like, oh, sorry guys, I got to pee. And they're like, come on, get on it, you big baby. Stop being a chicken. Well, that's not the nicest thing to say to somebody, but they're doing it because they care about you and they want you to have fun. They're pushing you for good reason. As you get a little bit older, maybe it's that friend that's like, hey, if you like them, why don't you actually try talking to them? Go ask them out instead of just being scared. Like, what's the worst thing that happens? They say no, you got this. that's a great friend to have. That's a 16th century bully. That's a sweetheart. The people who are there for us when we need it most. Those are the simplest ways that a sweetheart can be there for you as you move forward. It's those carriers of hope, those people that give hope to others when they need it. And then a hero is just what you think it is. It's somebody that jumps into action and does what others aren't willing to do to help people in need. And I think last time I was on your podcast, JD, we discussed all my bracelets that I have. I have them right over there. I can grab them for you later and show them to you. But every single one of those bracelets on there and every single one of my little superheroes that I keep in that container has a different story. And I've found that, sometimes students' superheroes are their friends, sometimes they're teachers, sometimes they're parents, grandparents, great grandparents, or maybe they're even fictional ones that they really look up to. And Spider-Man's a pretty amazing role model for a lot of young kids out there. I got Moana in my bag. Moana's a really awesome superhero. She doesn't have any superpowers, but she jumps into action to save the whole island. That's an amazing power to have.
It's incredible.
So, as we talk about what a sweetheart is and what a hero is, they're people that do what others aren't willing to do on the hero end, and sweethearts are those people that give you hope when you need it most.
Refresh me now. Aren't you a new dad? Who's just became a dad? Was it you? Was it Josiah? Well, I'm confused.
Josiah became a second time dad. He still is a dad. Josiah had his second kid earlier this year, and then my wife is expecting in April.
All right, that's what I'm thinking.
Yes.
Man, you guys got a lot going. Listen to the type of messaging that you guys are already instilling in your children and going to. I mean, these kids are your kid is lucky before he or she is even born, man. I mean that. You guys, like, I couldn't think of a better thing to teach your kid.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, JD. As I've been in my schools that this year, I don't know if we discussed this with you or if Joe has or anything along those lines. This year we started our community ambassador programming. And what that entails is myself, I have 2 schools that I'm in every single week this year. One being Salem, the other being Ticonderoga. I did luck out. They're both purple schools, so I just got some purple T-shirts, and we're ready to go on that. We just add free hugs to purple. But as I've spent more and more time with some of these young people and some of these students, it's been really kind of neat because you go into a school once and you get to interact with staff, you get to present, you get to have conversations with kids, and then you go, all right, good luck the rest of the year. Hopefully you jump into action and, help those other people that need it, but I'm not going to see you again because I'm not going to be here. And in these schools where we've had these time periods where we actually get to grow as part of the school community and just sprinkle in hope here and there where we can best, in these districts, it's been amazing to really connect. And my wife has had the opportunity to meet many of these students, and I think we have free babysitters for life at some of these schools because every single one of these kids is like looking forward to it, and they all want to know what the name is, and we're not telling anybody; it's top secret. But it's been really kind of cool and neat to become a part of a school community in both of these districts, and I think Joe has done the same exact thing over at OESJ. Where once a week he shows up and he adds hope where he can, and whether that's through the programming that we do or even stopping in the cafeteria and having some small conversations with students that look like they need somebody to talk to.
Where have you been over the last couple of months? What have you been doing? Like, give us a typical day.
Okay, so I'll just go with these 2 schools. Monday through Wednesday I'm at schools all over as well. But that varies whether it's running a BRAVE program, which is our mixed age leadership program where we take older students down to younger grade levels to really teach them what bullying is and ways that you can jump into action and prevent it, so that when you're in 3rd grade and a cool older kid comes down and teaches you some of their secret superpowers, all of a sudden you have some tools.
Wow.
When you move up to the middle school that are better than, oh, you tell a teacher. because that doesn't really work so well in the long run.
Sure.
It stops being an action that will do well for that student and for you. It becomes pat code to not rat on other people at a certain age level. And so let's give them some other tools. And we use high schoolers to do that, or middle schoolers in some of our school programs. So I've had a few of those going on. I've had a few schools where we've been going and doing our circle visits, which is where I get to sit and listen a whole lot. But my heart and soul this year for sure has been into these two schools where it's been our CAP, or I keep saying CAP programming. The P stands for programming, so that's a little bit confusing. But these schools of Salem and Ticonderoga, it's been really kind of neat for me to be a part of these districts, because one school, Ticonderoga, I've been in for the past 3 years. And when I walked in on day one, there were already students that I was really well connected with. There were already teachers that I was really well connected with. There's fourth graders now that went through our Brave program when they were in second grade, and had older kids that have now graduated. You had Haley on your podcast. Yet we've had these older students that are now off at college that went down and worked with some of these younger students who are now getting to that point where eventually they're going to be the ones coming down to teach some of the younger students. So Ty was at this one place, and Salem, I had really only come and done circle visits before, and I had only done a handful of them. So this year it was really a fresh start for me to just go, okay, here's my blank canvas. Here's what this school looks like right now. Let's see where we can get this district to by the end of the year. And that is not a solo effort. It's more so just operating in a way that helps others do what they have to do. And, get students connecting, get students having conversations, get students coming up with games that allow for conversations. JD, I got a great one. We can play one right now. You ever play Wavelength before?
Negative.
Okay, this was invented by some students somewhere. I don't know. When it comes to TikTok, I always say that, there's no such thing as a game that's invented by anyone anymore. And there never really has been. You can even go back to baseball, and that was inspired by rounders over in Europe, and cricket in some forms. Like, nobody invented baseball. I hate to break it to you. Tom's from Cooperstown. He might get mad about that one. But, that's just not the truth.
Definitely going to be upset about that.
It was not invented in Cooperstown, New York. That was a made up marketing scheme by actually the dude's last name was Spalding. He was the founder, and he needed to find a way to make it so that baseball was truly America's game. But nothing was truly invented. Games are all just reinventions of other games. And I talk to kids about that all the time. They come in with a game and they're like, it's not good. And I go, basketball wasn't good when it was first invented.
Right.
The first college game was 12-6.
Sure.
And the baskets were closed at the bottom, and people had to grab the ball out using a ladder and then restart. So you make adjustments as you go on. But this really neat game that these kids from Ticonderoga really kind of put me on to is called Wavelength. And the way that it works, I want you, JD, right now to think of a number and don't tell me what it is. You can even hold it up on your screen, because I can't even see you right now. So I'll close my eyes just so nobody thinks that we're cheating. Hold your number up 1 through 10.
Got it.
Okay. Now, we got to see if we're on the same wavelength. Ready? 10 is the best in the world, right? 10 is awesome. 10's amazing. And 1 is like, this is crappy. This is terrible. So, if I were playing with somebody that I knew loved candy, then I would be like, candy. And they might say Almond Joy. And I'm like, I know they hate coconut. So I think that's going to be like, I'm thinking somewhere around a 2 right now. And then I ask another one, movies. And they say like the worst movie they can think of. And I'm like, yeah, it's definitely 2. And that's my guess. So I'm going to give you the category. You have your number that you have. And then I'm going to probably give you 3 categories, and then we'll see if we're on the same wavelength. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. My first category for you, JD, seeing as though you are, we've had conversations about music before. You're a big music guy. So I'm going to go with bands or musicians, artists. That's your category. So 10 would be like the best of the best, and 1 would be like, that's awful.
Got it.
What do you got for me?
I'm not sure I'm following here.
Okay. So if 10 is the Beatles, you have a number that you picked, right?
Yes.
Okay. So 10 might be like the Beatles, and 1 might be, I don't know, whoever the worst band you can possibly think of is. Your number is somewhere between 1 and 10. You got to think of somewhere in the middle. Let's start easier than bands. Let's go cereals.
Oh no, we can do. I want to do cereals. I want to do cereals, but let's stay with the bands.
Okay.
So right now I'm thinking of my favorite band, and I'm telling you what number I think they are.
No. You're telling me a band that you think fits your number.
Oh.
So if, let's just say your number was 8, then I'd say, maybe it's
I gotcha.
the band, maybe it's the Eagles, right? If
Yep.
I don't really know what your scale is, but we're trying to see if we're on the same wavelength.
All right, I got you totally. Yep. All right, here's my answer. AC/DC.
Okay. So right now in my head, I'm trying to, kind of think of that scale there, and, knowing you, and I'm leaning right now towards, maybe a 6, maybe a 7, somewhere in there, but we're not official yet. So I could be close, I could not be, but let's do cereals next.
Yep. You ready?
Yep.
I don't even have to think about it. Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Ooh. See, that's a really good one for me, and that might bump that up. I'm 7 or 8 right now on my scale, so I got one more to try and see if we're on the thing. We're on the thing that we need to be on, and seeing as though it's Thanksgiving, let's go with Thanksgiving plate items. So things on your plate. What do you got for me?
I would have to go with. I'd have to go with the mashed potatoes.
I think I'm going to lock in on that 7. I've been bouncing back and forth between. I think 7's my answer. What was your number?
9.
Wow. Okay, I almost bumped it up to an 8 there, but 9's a good one. And then from there, the next person would go, and the next person would go. But it really is kind of interesting, and you play that at your Thanksgiving table.
I'm playing this tonight, man, with Lily.
Lily will love it. I played it with all sorts of different students who had different ideas, and some of the stuff they come up with. I was at one school that did it, and they went, "Teachers in this school," and this kid goes, the number was 5. This is the worst part, and this kid goes, "So and so on a good day," and I was like, "Oh, don't tell me that." But it's neat, the perspectives and the things that you get to hear from young people just from playing a silly little game and goofing around. And that's one of the ones that I've been playing quite a bit. But, you go to a school like Ty or Salem, and it's really awesome to watch as these kids connect more and more and more. And at Ticonderoga, we just did this past weekend on 2 weeks' notice. We got together a team of kids and said, "Hey, we're raising money for the Special Olympics of New York. They're doing a polar plunge, and some high schools, they have a challenge for these kids were like, "Oh, we're in, we'll join." And within 2 weeks, we had 23 participants. They raised well over $2,000 in 2 weeks, and jumped into a freezing cold lake. And I'd be hard pressed. You could have some arguments with some of the schools there that had like 60 kids, 70 kids, but there wasn't anyone louder and crazier on that beach than the kids wearing the free hug shirts from Ticonderoga.
Wow,
and
dude.
It's just really awesome to get to become a part of a district and to become a part of, how they connect and how they give hope to others. And it's just been something that I've been really proud to watch at Ty and at Salem, and even watching Joe and the work that he's been doing at OESJ.
You guys carry hope right on your shirt sleeves when you go into a school. That is, I think, your primary focus. That above all things, and there's going to be plenty of crap going on in your personal life, in the news, circumstantial stuff. But in the end, if we don't have hope, it's kind of the foundation, man. If we're going to push through anything in our lives, we've got to have hope and belief that things are going to turn out good on the backside, and that we may possibly a couple of months from now, a year from now, be looking back at what our experience was and say, wow, look at things are actually better now. I wish back then that I had more hope, because now that I'm in the future, I can see that I should have.
Yeah. And you know, the fascinating piece about what we do at Sweethearts and Heroes to me is that work is largely being done in schools already. You can go to any other school in America that's never heard of Sweethearts and Heroes before. And, you know, if you have somebody on that staff who is trained as a counselor, a social worker, a school psychologist, they're working towards spreading hope the best they can and doing a really nice job of it. But the, you know, difficult piece that a lot of these employees of this school have is that there's also a whole lot of other things in your job description that you have to take care of. And you have to, you know, a lot of them have to do with class scheduling, and a lot of them have to do with the structuring of the way that the school operation works. And then, you know, you're constantly running around putting out fires because you're working as it's intervention, right? You have these students that got into a fight. These students have drama going on. This student has something really, really difficult going on at home, and that is absolutely needed. Intervention is super important. But, you know, the work that we're doing at Sweethearts and Heroes can aid in that by becoming that prevention piece. And let's connect, let's have conversations, let's listen to each other, let's grow empathy, so that hopefully down the line, it doesn't get to that point where these students are getting into fights, where these students are making hopeless and destructive decisions. And, you know, I don't want to add fire to any, you know, ongoing stories, but I've been in a school pretty recently that had a whole issue going on in the news with it's bullying. And, well, yeah, every school in America has a bullying issue. Every place in America has bullies. For all of human history, there's been bullying. There always is going to be bullies as well. What we're trying to do is we can't go into schools, don't bully kids. Okay, maybe that works for a day and you're super inspired. If you're getting bullied, stand up for yourself, and then we leave. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to give those other students that see it happening, that see students that are being bullied, and see students who are hopeless, that see students who are dealing with other issues, they're carrying around that invisible suitcase that has nothing to do with bullying sometimes, or it's just the tip of the iceberg. And
Wow.
have those students that have, you know, a lot going for them, have people that look up to them, have, you know, a great season in this sport, are the leader of the play, and take those students and say, hey, you see this stuff happening, do something about it. Be the person that is someone's hero. Be the person that can give them hope. And now, down the line, maybe we don't need to have that intervention because they don't necessarily get to that point where they need it. And, you know, that's the work that we have being done in these schools that we're in. And I think for us, it goes hand in hand with the amazing work that the counselors and social workers and psychologists in schools across America are doing already.
Yeah. You know, as children, kids, I mean, you could point the finger at maturity. You could point the finger at the old cliche, kids will be kids. But, man, it's like kids joke around a lot. And especially among their peers, there's a lot of joking around, goofing around, silliness that can be misinterpreted on the receiving end as I'm being bullied, or I'm getting ribbed too often, too much. It's crossed the line. Where's the threshold? How do you teach kids, hey, there's a real difference between having fun with people that you enjoy being around, that you like. Like, Pat, you've heard the people say, I wouldn't make fun of you if I didn't like you. If I didn't like you, I wouldn't make fun of you.
There's a massive difference between teasing and bullying.
I mean,
And
I get it all the time from people that I love. I mean, Tom is constantly hammering away at me. My height, my weight, my hair. I mean, the list goes on, and I'm like, bro, who's got the fingernails painted here? What you want to go there? I'll get in the cage with you.
that it's funny. Tom's a big he loves to tease, and he really, when I first joined Sweethearts and Heroes, him and Rick go back at each other and forth at each other like crazy,
unbelievably.
And you don't want to get into a burn battle with a roast guy is one of Tom's favorite lines that he goes to. But
yeah,
I hate to challenge Tom, but Tom seems to be pretty nice to me for the most part. And at first I was like, maybe he just doesn't like me.
No, he's intimidated.
Yeah, he knows I'll give it right back. And
exactly.
I don't want to get into the ring with Tom, but we get into a roast battle. I think I got him.
Rappers can think of words at a lightning speed.
We have the comeback game is certainly strong. And,
yes.
Those are things that I think are beneficial for young people to watch and to see. And that's, when I go into a school and I say, yeah, you had a presentation with two bald guys. One, was on the screen kicking and punching people, and the other one got blown up. And a kid's like, and I'm like, they're my friends. I can talk like that.
Right.
There's a reason that I say those lines.
Yeah.
It's not just because, I like to pick on Tom and Rick. It's because, hey, it should be encouraged to laugh a little bit.
Sure.
And Rick will be the first to tell you, when he got blown up in Iraq, one of the first conversations that he had with one of his buddies who looked down at him, and Rick was like, how bad is it? And the guy lied to him because he felt bad and was like, oh, it's not that bad. And, Rick said back to him, he goes, well, I'll never be as ugly as you are. That's should be encouraged. Rick's sense of humor is what gave him hope.
Sure.
Guys like to joke around and rib each other quite a bit.
And this is a guy who's frankly at the time was brushing against death.
Yeah. And still had that sense of, okay, I'm going to joke around with my friends. And, I sit in circles all the time with young people when, so-and-so just had a conversation about their, uncle who has cancer, or somebody's talking about, their pet who had just passed away, or, somebody's talking about, something really personal that they're going through. And it gets to this young man who, awkwardly makes a joke, and it kind of falls flat, or the teacher's given that look of like, well, he's just practicing his superpower. He doesn't have it down yet. He's working on it. And to be honest with you, I think it should be encouraged at some level. Now, if he's saying something disparaging to the other student on purpose to harm that student, to make them feel smaller or weaker about what they said, that's a different story. Then we're venturing into bullying territory. But if that student is just trying to alleviate the tension that they feel in the room and that they feel for this young person,
sure,
well, that is really close to empathy. We're working on it. We're working on,
wow,
okay, he's making a joke to try and show some level of compassion to make that person feel better.
Yeah.
And guess what? I've had times in my life where I've been going through something difficult, where I've had a tough day, and the friends of mine that could cheer me up, well, those are the best people to be around, because they can make me laugh. They can make me smile. That's a really helpful thing. So all of those things should be able to exist together. We should be able to tease people. We should be able to have fun with people. But, eventually, sometimes it does venture into that bullying territory. And when that's the case, well, it should be addressed, and there should be discipline involved. I am a firm believer in that. But JD, if you were to judge me for the things that I did when I was 14, 15, 16, 17, even 18, I wasn't a bully, but I certainly made some mistakes, and I certainly did some things that could really venture into that territory of not so nice. And most of it was not with the intention of being harmful. Most of it was with the intention of being funny, having fun, goofing around, playing games. Sometimes we get into that gray area between teasing and bullying, and that's where we mess up.
Yeah.
Tom and I had a long conversation just this week about, hey, we've made mistakes in our lives. We do some dumb things. Someone, it wasn't me. It had absolutely nothing to do with me, JD, but somebody for a senior prank in our school I had nothing to do with it, but somebody in our school put up the class of 2014 spread across like 8 different butt cheeks, or however many butt cheeks it was, and there was about 5,000 of those pictures just randomly placed throughout the school. I don't know who did that. I don't know why anyone would do that. It's a really terrible thing, but somebody did it, and it's a mistake, right? It's stuff that young people do, and they mess up. Again, I had nothing to do with that, JD. It wasn't me.
You've made that very clear. Yeah, man, I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. I think it's got to be, there needs to be some attention put on the receiving end. It's mostly how did you feel when that was said to you? And when my good friends rib me, if we're all laughing, and I'm laughing because I know they're right, it's healthy. It's healthy, and it makes us feel maybe more connected. But
and outside of that, at a younger level, at a primal level, even, there's been studies done where it's been shown that you go into tribes of people, and they will pick on the weakest link. And what it really is for is that weakest member, when dealing with outsiders, is now going to be more prepared for having dealt with the teasing,
sure,
the ridicule that they've dealt with within their own group. And I have a younger cousin who is on the autism spectrum, and growing up, he was the manager for his basketball team, and in my experience, I was that basketball player at a different school.
Right.
And we had a manager on our bench who was awesome, but a special needs student. And, we loved him, but we picked on him a decent amount. And it wasn't like, bad. We just had our secret handshakes, and he'd make us laugh. And, we'd kind of, crack jokes with him and get him riled up on the bench, and, get him going. And he would, be excited but he felt like he was part of that family.
Sure.
And what I thought was really cool was in my conversation with my uncle about my cousin, this was years ago, but he was a manager on this team. He kind of watched it as he would notice, like, hey, they goof around, they pick on him a little bit, but if it was anyone from the outside, they're going to stand up for him. And that's the piece where I think it ventures into, okay, teasing is beneficial, because it's been shown that, we can pick on him because he's ours, right? That's our brother. We can make jokes about that person, but if somebody from the outside does it, we're going to stand up for that person because he's ours. And, as we talk about, we're going into schools, and there's all these different inner groups that exist within schools. We're trying to create as many new inner groups as humanly possible with the circles that we do, bringing kids from different cliques, as we used to call it.
Sure.
And bringing them together and getting them having conversations so that empathy can foster within that unit. And I think that's where, a little bit of teasing is a great sign for that unit, because if there's some teasing, that means they're comfortable enough with each other where they feel as though they can make some jokes, and it's not going to be taken as this person is coming after me.
Yeah.
You know who you can joke around with, and who you can go a little bit further with.
Well,
like I know Rick well enough to go a little bit further with him, and I had a great conversation. Sorry.
Yeah, and are we reciprocating too? I mean,
it's back and forth.
Is this a healthy exchange here, or is it unwanted and there's there's negative feelings that are attached to it? It's what
I
we have to ask ourselves.
there's a young man, I love him. He gave me a Pokemon card last year, and he signed it on the back, and he was like, you can use this as your talking piece at different schools. And I've used it at quite a few different schools now. Young man's name is Kevin. He's a little guy, 7th grader, and at just about every time I've been in Kevin's school, he's been somewhere in or near or around the office for getting in trouble.
Yeah.
And I tell him every single time, because he makes me laugh. He makes me chuckle. He's a funny kid. He's raised by his grandparents, and they did a really nice job of creating this very socially. He's socially strong as a young person, but he's always trying to be funny, and he crosses the line quite a bit. And I always my constant reminder is just, dude, the best jokes make everybody laugh. And he's working on it, right? It takes steps. It's a process, but the best jokes can make everyone. It's not just, this person, that person, and we're laughing at that person. It's
right.
Okay, we're all laughing together. Great.
Yeah.
That's the place where we want to get to.
The thing that you guys have, that you have figured out so much and so well is that, and you were alluding to this earlier, is that coming into a school, putting on presentations, assemblies, even a couple of circles where you're sitting with students and maybe faculty in a circle and talking about some really profound subject matter. The effectiveness of that has to be sustained beyond when you guys leave the doors and walk out of that building, out of that school. And the fact that you all have figured out that, hey, we need to start dividing and conquering here. We need to get Joe over here. We need to get Pat doing this. And we need to teach these schools and these students how to carry this message after we have left their doors is really, it's really the biggest stuff that Sweethearts and Heroes, I think, is made of.
So you probably can't see it that well. There's a picture on my screen of a cracked phone case that this student came up to me, and it's at Ticonderoga. It's at a school that we're in quite a bit. And I think, I've talked with those students. We're going to get you to Ty to do a podcast at some point this year, JD, because there's plenty of students that could talk your ears off for days about, the work of Sweethearts and Heroes, and would ask you far more interesting questions than I even have for you. But this young lady, Avery, who's absolutely awesome, she'll come down. She was in our program at Ty last year. And, now she wants to be a photographer when she grows up, and she's awesome at it. And she'll do our picture taking for whenever we do our bully drills down at the elementary school and our Brave program down there. But she came up to me and she was like, hey, I have a list of questions on my phone. And I'm like, well, for Circle? And she's like, yeah, we do a circle with just our friends. When we're hanging out on the weekends, we'll just do circles. And these are some of the questions. And, as I combed through it, I used them the rest of the week. Like, these kids were sitting around in a circle at home talking about, do you think there are good and bad people? ? Can people change ? What's a challenge you're facing right now that people can't see from the outside? This one's one of my favorite ones, JD. Not in a romantic way, but who do you think would be a great father/mother for your children? Like, so just like, who's going to be a great parent someday? And, these questions are conversations that there are teenagers discussing, listening to each other, making eye contact at the very simplest level. I know some schools where you go to, we can't even get them to look at each other.
Yeah.
And, these are young people that are sitting around actively listening as they have deep, thoughtful conversation about who they are, what they want to be, and what they struggle with. And they're being open about those things. Those are people that when they get to their 20s, when they get to their 30s, and so on and so forth, those are the people that when there are people struggling in their families, in their communities, they're going to be the ones that jump into action and change those people's lives, which is the goal from the outset of Sweethearts and Heroes when it started as just a simple little bullying presentation way back in the day.
I the one circle that I did up at Peru, I didn't know the basic rules going in, that there's no follow-up questions. There's no questions when there's only one person at a time that's speaking and the rest of you are listening. And that was so difficult for me because I got a million follow-up questions. It was like very difficult for me to just sit there and have to be forced to listen, man. Wow.
And you know Leon pretty well. I got him to participate in one of these activities, and he thrived at it.
Leon?
He's like
was in a circle?
Ready? So he's like you in that his brain is constantly operating on, I'm curious about this next, right? Which is, we don't want to get rid of that. That's a great thing to have. And one of the things that I've done in some schools, because if I'm going into a school or a building, an organization, whatever it might be, and I'm asking a question for Circle, well, I've talked with fifth graders about this, sixth graders about this, and said, hey, your question of who's the best quarterback in the NFL, I love that question. It's a great question, but there's 10 people in this circle that don't watch the NFL. So I still don't think it's a bad question. It's just not the right context for it. We got to make a question that fits for everybody.
It's definitely not the apex question.
And I've had those students that do the, what's your favorite makeup brand? What's your favorite thing to play with it on Fortnite? All these questions that you cannot tell this young person it's not a good question, because it is. And it could be the apex question in a group of people that are interested in that thing.
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
If I got a Lord of the Rings question and I'm at a Lord of the Rings convention, that's really great. But it's not elsewhere, because there's going to be people in that. So you almost have to go more broad, especially someone as an outsider coming into a district that doesn't know everyone so well.
Yeah.
I got to rely on things that I know to be true as a human that most people can connect on in some way, shape, or form. But I want to encourage those students to ask those types of more specific questions, because they are great questions. So what we've been doing quite a bit of in some of these schools where I have more time to actually be there are what I call a reverse circle. And a reverse circle is pretty much what you think it is. Instead of the facilitator being the person that asks a question for everybody and it goes around and every single person answers, what I like to do is say, okay, that person in the facilitating role, here's your answering piece. And we're going to pass around a question piece. And everybody's going to ask you a question. So one person asks you a question, then the next person, then the next person. And you answer all of them as it goes on. And what you'll find is students know how to ask those follow-up questions quite a bit. Those questions that you have in your mind, they are better at those than they are at questions for everybody, because they've never had to ask a question for 30 people. It's not in their, they're not trained for that. They've never learned how to do that. What they've learned how to do is ask questions specifically to friends and conversations in the cafeteria,
right,
and conversations on the bus. So they are very, very adequate at asking great questions, but it's just not necessarily going to fit for everybody. So let's utilize those strengths. And Leon was amazing at it, because he'd be the sixth in the order. And after the first 5 questions, it'd get to him and he'd go, okay, based on what I've learned from these 5 answers, my question is now going to be this. And you'll get some students that no matter what are just going to go, what's your favorite movie? Because that's what they want to talk about and that's what they're interested in learning. And that's fine. But it really gets them to practice having questions and following their curiosity based on their interactions with other people and connecting more. And I always say, hey, look, if your best friend in the entire world is in the circle and you're like, well, I don't have any questions for them, I know everything. That's just not true. You have better questions for the people you know better. I know that you have a daughter. Now, from my knowledge that you have a daughter, I can ask you questions about that. If I didn't know you have a daughter, I could not ask you questions about that. And that's just one thing, right? It expands into all these different interests, likes. You know, if I know that this kid plays football and baseball, and those are the two most important things in the world. Okay, you have to give one up. Which one are you quitting, dude? Like that's a question that I need to know those basic pieces of information in order to ask it. So getting them asking great questions, I think stems from acknowledging the fact that they already can ask great questions. Let's build on them.
This is fascinating stuff, man. And as you've taught us, and so has Tom, circle is something that goes back. How far, man? Like cavemen.
So, the anthropological evidence says hundreds of thousands of years, right? Just based on the fact that human beings, it's known we sat around fires, and we got to this point where we started having conversations, and the large amount of the time was spent around fires. And, that's where storytelling took place. That's where lessons were taught. That's where things were learned. That's where communication developed. And that's what made us as a species the most dominant species on Earth, is because we learned how to communicate with each other so effectively.
Yeah.
We were not the strongest animals in the animal kingdom. We were not the fastest, but we could work together. And when we were hunting down that, giant beast, well, okay, you go on the right side, I'm going to go on the left side, and we're going to run for days. And this thing can only go for so long. But if we just keep pestering it and keep working together, we're going to take this thing down.
And we'll both benefit.
And we'll grow from that, right? And there are all sorts of things that we learned as human beings. Hey, I'm going to survive much better if I work with this group. The last thing that you want to do is be excluded from the group, because you won't survive.
Yeah.
Now you wonder why, when you have a middle schooler who is going through some really difficult things and is being excluded, they're not fearful, but they're being excluded from their inner group. And their parent comes to, their counselor, us, or says, hey, my kid is being bullied. Well, they're not afraid, so they're not being bullied yet. But that doesn't mean they're not going through something. They're being excluded. That's a really difficult thing to have to deal with as a young person, especially at some of these smaller schools where, as you get excluded, it's really tough to go hop to another intergroup and find it, because there isn't another intergroup. So you have to, find your way to venture back into that path. And all of this stuff that we're working on, these, basic human skills that are now all of a sudden everybody wants to, learn them from a textbook or learn them from this, software. Well, yeah, we can utilize some of those things, but at its core level, even though Sweethearts and Heroes has all of these online programming options, at our core, we're never going to get away from the number one thing that can be done for creating peer networks for young people is having conversations.
Yeah.
So we have those conversations, and we get them to have those conversations.
I was going to say, Tom is so lucky to have all of you on his team, but really, you're all so lucky to have each other equally, man. It's like you guys are just, you're all dialed in. You all get it. You all bring something different to the table. And, man, Sweethearts and Heroes, something that started in Vermont, has now grown to a regional thing, and even beyond regional. I mean, you guys, I don't know how many schools you've been into in the last year. Maybe you know that number. Do you know?
A lot.
So
Here's the thing. I would say, actually, if you looked at our the peak numbers of what Sweethearts and Heroes was doing as far as the schools that they've been into, that would be pre Pat Fish, pre anybody when it was just Tom and Rick living together on the road in the 2010s era, when I was in high school, and Tom and Rick were working hard just Monday through Friday, spending every single day together and driving each other nuts. That was the most schools that they had been into, for sure. It'd be one school present, the next day go to a school present, the next day go to a school present. But as far as the impact that we have, we've been in less schools recently. What we've done is we've focused on those schools that want to bring us in to utilize our programming, and said, okay, these are where we can actually make the biggest impact. And because of that, we've put all of this focus on our community ambassador program, our Brave program, our STEP program, all of these different things that we have that, you go to Peru. And Peru, I have a few visits this year, but compared to when I first joined the team, I was in Peru nonstop. But we've been in Peru so much that we feel as though they're at a place now where, they can keep this thing going. We'll come in and we'll sprinkle some new ideas, and I'll come in and make everything go crazy for a couple of days. But they have a pretty strong system going there. So let's go build it somewhere else. Let's go build this programming and continue to reinvent ourselves and change it so that we can have the biggest impact. The amount of schools to us, I think it's awesome. It's a great number to look at. But what it comes down to is, we can go to a school and present one time and you leave. And if you taught me something one time in high school, JD, good luck with me remembering that at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I probably wasn't paying attention that one time. Tom and Rick came to my middle school and presented. I don't know if I was even there. I couldn't tell you anything about it if I was. Maybe the presentation just got a whole lot better, but I like to think I would have remembered that. So while the presentation is absolutely amazing, it is the thing that starts the fire, right? Yeah. It is that match. It is that lighter, whatever you want it to be. So now we got this fire going, but we got to keep throwing wood on this thing to keep it moving. And you want to spread hope. You can't just say, okay, here's your hope. Good luck. Yeah, that, might have that impact on a handful of students. And it did. In the 2010s, you could ask Tom, you could ask Rick. There were all of these students that benefited so strongly. It changed and saved lives. I'm absolutely sure of it. But when it comes to the programming piece of what Sweethearts and Heroes does, it's making sure that those buildings that we are in, we spend more and more time in so that we can continue to change and save lives in the best way that we know how, which is showing up and being there and listening.
Bro, let's throw some love before we close out this morning to Alderman Chevrolet, Littleton Chevrolet, Cody Chevrolet, all the Chevy dealers, Wells River.
Let's show some gratitude. It's Thanksgiving, JD.
Yeah, man. Yes. These dealerships, these Chevy dealerships embrace so much what you guys are doing and saying, hey, we're going to do everything we can to make sure they're getting into as many schools as possible.
Yeah, I was in Vermont one time. This is a couple of years ago, and I was heading to a school, and you go to Vermont, and every once in a while you're wearing the free hug shirt, and because of that, somebody remembers you from whether it's the early days of Sweethearts and Heroes, when it was back when Tom owned a restaurant, when it was back, whatever it might be, you see that free hug shirt and you're like, oh, I remember that. I know that. And I had this guy that was at this coffee shop, and he was like, well, do you work for the free hugs thing? I'm like, Sweethearts and Heroes? And he's like, yeah, that thing. He's like, that guy just goes around and, tries to, look all high and mighty because, he just wants to, but like, you get paid for that. The schools pay you to come in. So you're really just doing it for money. You're not and I said, okay. And I listened, and I'm not going to start an argument with anybody in a coffee shop. That doesn't really, that doesn't really seem like the best spot to, 7 o'clock in the morning, just getting really fired up about something. And so I just listened, and, at the end of it, I kind of looked at the guy and I said, we need to travel to the schools, and we need to show up at the building, and we probably, because of that, have to stay somewhere overnight, and we probably, because of that, need to eat something too.
Food could be involved.
All of this stuff seems like it might matter, and by no means
did you mention gasoline.
Did I mention gasoline, right? Yeah. And look, when I joined the team, I went to school for my master's was in organizational psychology, and as I look at, my degree and what I could go off and do with my degree, there's a whole lot of businesses, there's a whole lot of HR departments, there's a whole lot of places where a master's in organizational psychology and experience working in a whole bunch of different buildings could probably bode me pretty well. But I'm going to work for Sweethearts and Heroes because this is an organization that cares and does things for people. And we're only able to do that if we have the funding necessary to get into buildings. And let's be honest, there's a lot of schools out there that are struggling when it comes to money, when it comes to their finances. And to ask one of those schools, hey, we want to bring in a Brave program, it'll really help your young people. And they're, yeah, but we have this teacher whose family lives in our community and we just cut their job. It's probably not going to look so great to bring in this, organization that we're paying all this money for.
Yeah.
We can't. So having those outside fundings that, are putting their hard-earned dollars into the young people of Vermont, of New York, of the places where we go is something that is, I can't express gratitude enough for, because look, a lot of people out there are struggling right now. It's just the truth. And, it's really tough to go and say, yeah, we want to spread hope to all of you. We got to be able to get there though. And, if you're struggling on your income, that's a hard sell. So what Chevy has done for us is allowed us to spread our message of hope in schools and in young people that would not have seen our message if that wasn't the case. And that's a really amazing thing that they should be proud of, and we are all extremely grateful for.
And you know what? If you walk into any Chevy dealer or someone that works at one, just thank them. Say, hey, we saw Pat Fish on the Aired Out podcast the other day, Sweethearts and Heroes. Thank you for supporting them so much and allowing them to get to infiltrate into so many schools. Just thank them. I want to go ahead.
I want to ask you something real quick before I know we've been going on for ages, as we usually do when we get together.
Oh, I want to ask you something too.
What's your Thanksgiving looking like, man? Talk to me, because Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday in the entire world. So I'm always curious what other people do on Thanksgiving.
Someday you'll get there because you're so young right now, Pat. But at some point in your life, you will be purchasing a pair of pants with an elastic waistband. It's going to happen at some point. I do have a pair of those. I don't necessarily wear them proudly in public, but I will be wearing them on Thanksgiving. We're going to be with some friends.
Okay.
And we're going to do like a Friendsgiving thing, and there's going to be tens of thousands of kids running around and rollerblading around the inside of the house. But we're going to have a great time, and we're going to be surrounded by love. And that's more important to me than what kind of food is going to be served up. Maybe with the exception of the deviled eggs. But we're going to have we're just going to have a good time. We're just going to sit and relax. We're going to watch some football, and I'm going to pass some gas and with my elastic waist pants, and I'm just going to have a good time, bud.
It's the best holiday in the world. It was initially put into place as a national holiday by Abraham Lincoln in the midst of the Civil War era. So it was divided as our country ever was. You can argue that, but that's just the truth. We were literally at war with each other.
Yeah.
As divided as our country ever was. And there's a woman who strongly pushed for it for about 10 years beforehand. And finally it got passed as a way to say, hey, during this time of strife, during this time of division, we should be able to come together and talk about the things that we are grateful for, talk about that love, and just spend time with one another.
Yeah.
So it's a great day, and I think a great purpose as well.
I'm thankful to be alive, and I'm thankful to be surrounded by my family, and some friends. I think more than anything else. Regardless, again, if there's any food on the table, just to be together with people that care about you, and that you love. That's what I'm thankful for. Man, I got to ask you, green bean casserole for Pat Fish?
So I've been talking to, first of all, kids here, Thanksgiving's your favorite holiday in their life. Most kids, especially you get to that younger level, Christmas, Halloween, candy, whatever, that they're like, Thanksgiving, huh? But, I've been having quite a few conversations with young people about, what's the favorite dish? We even did, one kid asked, food fight starts at the Thanksgiving table. What are you grabbing? Like, are you grabbing the turkey to throw? Are you grabbing corn? Are you grabbing mashed potatoes? But when it comes to my favorite dish at Thanksgiving, JD, I am whatever is on that table, grabbing a piece of that, grabbing a piece, and it's just getting mixed into one big giant concoction. So yeah, if there's green bean casserole in the mix, great. If there's stuff, it's got to be stuffing in the mix, got to be mashed potatoes in the mix, but all of it is just, it's going into one place. So
yes.
Might as well start that mixing early. That's my mindset when I go into it. I have some people that are mortified, as I say, that food's touching, and no, it's all going to the same spot.
Yep.
And after a long day of in the morning, I've since my dad was a kid, actually, my hometown. It's really kind of neat because it's not sponsored or anything like that, but there's a group of like 20 people that get together and play football in the morning, and we just throw a football around and run around. And I've been doing it since I was a kid, and now some of the older guys that used to play in it just watch on the sides as we run around and have fun. But so I'll get nice and tired
because they blew out their meniscus a couple of years ago on that Thanksgiving Day. That's why they're standing around, bud.
Oh man, I'll never forget the year where my dad switched from being, he was the all-time quarterback on one team, and there was a couple of years where we were both quarterback going again. That was fun, but then I'll never forget one year he just became all-time center, and he just kind of hikes the ball and doesn't block anybody, and then he hikes the ball and he goes, I'm going to be it for both teams, and so he still, he'll participate a little bit, he'll hike it, which is really kind of great. But yeah, that is kind of as it happens. Everybody's got that career-ending injury. I think my uncle Steven is the longest going, and I think that's a piece. He's a third grade elementary teacher, so they keep him working. He's a big hiker, so he's still going. He's had his injuries here and there, but
career ending. I love it.
Everybody's got their career ending injury, whatever.
Well, listen, and we find out who the real football players are in the backyard on Thanksgiving when it starts to rain or it starts to snow a little bit. There's a percentage that are like, dude, I'm going in, man. The game's on. The others that are staying behind and getting a little muddy and, frankly, ugly, that's the real lifeblood of Thanksgiving right there. It's those people.
That's what I got my practice in, that polar plunge. I went swimming in Lake George last weekend, so I'm
nice.
So I'm ready for the cold, whatever Mother Nature brings at us. I'm showing up. I'm playing. It's two-hand touch, but you throw on the free hug shirt, maybe you can get away with a little bit more of a tackle, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, we'll figure it out.
But before we head out this morning, a question and a comment. Question. We're talking about poking fun at others and stuff. Tom, do you think the biceps are implants? Yes or no?
Do I think that? No, I absolutely do not think that's the case.
Really?
No, but I will say
I do.
So you want to know what they are the cause of, and this is almost worse, JD. They are Holiday Inns across America have experienced this, where have these little tiny gyms, right?
Yeah.
And there's some cute little old lady walking on the treadmill, watching whatever she's watching, and maybe one guy is
Oprah.
Maybe one guy's on the on the bicycle, and I've seen it before. I've walked in, seen Tom in the gym, and turned around and been like, I'll go later.
Yep.
Because this one guy, it's on the treadmill right next to the sweet old lady who is he's got it on, full incline. He's walking, taking his little breaks. But in between those breaks, he is doing 100 sets of burpee, pull up, shoulder raise, down to burpee, pull up, shoulder raise with like 50s in his hands, because that's as high as it goes.
What?
And just getting sweat everywhere and grunting and making loud noises and making everyone in the room uncomfortable. So that's
So you're s-
100% what it's from.
So you're saying they're not implants then?
They are not implants. They are
What?
hard-earned biceps, to the discomfort of old ladies and Holiday Inns everywhere. Which
Wow.
again, that I think is kind of awesome in its own way. And we've been doing, everyone here at not everyone at Sweethearts and Heroes, but a decent amount of us have been doing 333 push-ups a day for all of November.
Yeah, man. Tom was telling me about that. Holy crap.
I texted him. I was like, dude, you picked bulking season to do 330. I'm trying to get bigger so that, when Tom's walking down the presentation in a walker, somebody can at least have some decent biceps. And instead, we're doing 333 push-ups a day. And I think I've lost more weight than anything.
Listen,
I don't need to be doing.
I just had my surgical consult yesterday and got the date on the calendar for my complete shoulder replacement. And Tom's asked me, how many push-ups are you doing, JD? And I'm like, Tom, I couldn't do one push-up for $1,000, bro. And he's like, well, can't you just do it with one hand? This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about, Pat.
Yeah. I love it, because when I joined the team, I saw, Tom and Rick, to me, were the perfect balance of yin and yang. You had this one
Oh,
guy
my
that,
God,
like,
yes.
if he was not your cup of tea at a school, which I've seen it before, there's teachers that are a little bit put off by the energy, by the excitement that Tom brings. And, maybe it's a piece of that has more to do with them than it has to do with Tom. And, that's a whole nother conversation. But if you get put off by that high energy, high gung ho, like in your face style that Tom has, Rick is the perfect counterpart of like, yeah, it's chill. We could talk football if you want to talk football.
Yeah, right.
And when I joined the team, I was like, I fit somewhere in the middle of that.
Sure.
I do have an intensity about me, but I also, can rewind it a little bit and chill out a little bit too. So I love working for Sweethearts and Heroes in this, in the way that we have it, because everybody is comfortable in being themselves.
Yes.
And we can give hard times here and there, and we can, poke fun, but I've always said we're going 1,000,000 miles per hour in a direction. We never exactly know the exact direction we're going in, but it's 1,000,000 miles per hour, and I can work with that. It's fun.
Now, didn't you just get married?
I got married in July.
All right. Who just got married just recently on the team? Didn't somebody? Or maybe it's you that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I'm the most recent marriage
right.
of Sweethearts and Heroes. Yeah, everybody else I think is married already.
Did I see a picture of you wearing a pink suit?
Yes. Okay. Yep. So that was at a friend's wedding, actually.
All right.
And JD, I got to be honest with you, not the pink suit, but the white shirt underneath.
Yeah.
So I go out and, I'm doing my 333 push-ups a day. So shoulders, they're getting a little bit bigger maybe. And so I go out, and within a couple minutes on the dance floor, rip all the way from right here to right here.
Wait a minute. The pink suit or the shirt?
The shirt.
Okay.
So luckily I had the pink suit over on the side, but my entire shirt was just like armpit. And then, of course, you're with your friends from college, and they're coming up behind me and like ripping it more or tickling my arm. But yeah, so that picture was probably 5 minutes before my shirt was like hanging by a thread right here.
Wow. Those are obviously some very serious dance moves, which I would love to know which one blew out the shirt. But Tom, I'm guessing was maybe, I don't know if he was there, but he's got to be a little jealous of another guy who can get away with wearing a pink suit. Not everybody can do that, Pat.
So the Tom, yeah, Tom's the originator of the pink. That was definitely
Yes.
a little bit Tom inspired. But I will say, Tom cannot touch my stuff when it comes to the pink shoes. I
understand.
I've been around Sweethearts and Heroes for long enough and bought a new pair of pink shoes that I have a different pair that I could wear Monday through Friday, whether it comes to my Patrick Star ones. I got my pink flowery ones. I even got like winter boots that are pink and fuzzy.
Stop it.
We could go across the board, and I got pink shoes for every single day. And Tom is internet savvy as Tom is. He hasn't quite figured out the internet shoe market, so he's not there yet when it comes to the pink shoes.
Now, when you wore the pink suit, did you have the painted fingernails at the same time?
I did.
Okay.
I did. And
it's
that
just a question. I'm just asking.
Yeah.
I'm not implying anything. I'm just asking if you were really able to get away with that.
Yeah, I especially at the wedding with the college friends that I have, even though it was a close friend. Obviously, you don't know the family members, you don't know the other side. Like,
sure.
I know her husband, but I don't really know his family, their friends, any of that thing. But you immediately walk into a room with the pink suit and your fingernails painted.
Yeah,
and
there's people that are saying, what the hell's going on around here?
100%. I think that exists in this world, but
who is this guy?
It is way more, oddly enough, like you'll get it in first grade, where they're like really confused about it, and you're like, then you go out at recess and you play basketball, and they're like,
yes.
Oh wait, I want to paint my fingernails.
Yes. And play basketball aggressively.
At an older level, and I say this to high schoolers all the time, we have a fear of vulnerability. Humans do. And making ourselves weak, making ourselves, lesser. That's what we, think of vulnerability as, but truly it's a superpower. And I had a group just this week where I asked the question, what was your first ever childhood crush? Like when you were little, like that goofy one, right? Yeah. That, Tom's is, I'll tell you right now, Tom's is Princess Leia. Oh. And Rick's is Punky Brewster or something like that.
Poor Rick.
Yeah. And mine's Selena Gomez, Wizards of Waverly Place. Or you could go back even further and go Meg from the movie Hercules, the cartoon movie there.
Okay.
But you ask a question like that to a bunch of kids, and even though it's not their crush right now, it's talking about in the past, they're like, and then you get this one kid who steps up and goes, my crush was the Fred from Scooby-Doo, passes it on. And then you get another student that's like, Flynn Rider from Tangled, and they pass it on. And then you get the student that one time I had a girl go, it's Lightning McQueen, and passed it on. And I get to the end of that, and I always look at the group afterwards, and I go, what do you think the point of that question was?
Yeah.
Let's sit around and, they say the number one reason that young people don't jump into action when they see somebody being treated the wrong way is that they're afraid to look silly or ridiculous.
Yeah.
I got news for you, JD. That's not young people. That's all people. We're afraid to look silly or ridiculous.
Amen.
But the second someone does it, overwhelmingly others appreciate that superpower that they have.
Yeah.
They appreciate that uniqueness that they have because they're willing to put themselves out there and open themselves up to attack because they're a superhero. And the more that we as a society can celebrate that, the better. Somebody that's willing to go out there and be themselves. And, Ticonderoga, there's a young man that I will 100% have. We have time. He's only he's not even a senior yet, so we got some time with him. But there's a young man named Carter who he was in my program years ago in ninth grade, and now he's still in works very closely with the work that Sweethearts and Heroes does. He worked with our STEP program and he presents to younger students. But Carter had a role in his school play last year. That Carter's a young man. He's a straight young man. He's had girlfriends. He's had all that stuff. And Carter in his school play played a flamboyant gay guy. That was his role. JD, I got to tell you, I was a pretty confident young man. I was a pretty fun-loving. Wasn't afraid to be goofy. Wasn't afraid to embarrass myself a little bit. I don't know if I would have had the courage and confidence to go out in the school play, and play a gay guy. I just
sure.
And maybe it's a difference in time. Maybe it's that fear of, and I had gay friends growing up. But the courage and confidence that is shown by some of today's young people, and Carter just being one of those examples, is absolutely unbelievable. And the more that we can celebrate that is just something that I think is beneficial to everybody.
Yeah, right.
You shouldn't be afraid to be a little bit goofy. You shouldn't be afraid to be yourself. It's a part of what makes you who you are.
That's amazing. I love to hear this, man. It's incredible. Listen, man, I can't thank you enough, Pat, for all your time this morning. You guys, what you're doing, you're changing the world, kid by kid, and frankly, adult by adult. I mean, everything that you guys are doing is absolutely amazing. You got to follow them on social media. Get them on Instagram. Get them on Facebook. Get on the web, sweetheartsandheroes.com. Read more, see more about what they're doing and the lives that they're changing. And I mean that when I say you guys are literally changing the world. I love each and every one of you, man.
Reach out to somebody that you love and that you care about, that might not have that person to go to on Thanksgiving. Just send a text. Give somebody a call. Because this time of year, especially, this is a difficult time for a lot of people out there. Those people that, maybe this is their first Thanksgiving without someone they really care about. Their first holiday season without that person.
Yeah.
Maybe they just got fired from work. But this is while it's a great time of year to be thankful and grateful for what we do have, it's also an important time of the year to acknowledge that there's other people out there that need that dose of hope. So I just wanted to make sure that I said that at the end here, JD. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but
no, it's
make sure you
perfect.
send that text.
Brother, thank you so much, Pat. Appreciate you.
Thanks, JD.
Light years, dude. And I can't wait I don't know when I'll see you next, but I can't wait.
Can't wait. I got to get onto that red couch again sometime soon.
Yeah, man. And listen, I'm still hoping to actually get to see Sweethearts and Heroes at a school. I keep checking my mailbox for the invitation from Tom. There's nothing in there. But at some point...
and we can talk after this, but I'm in Ticonderoga, which is a little under 2 hours away from you. But I'm there every single Thursday for the rest of the school year. So we're going to find a time where you can come in and visit and be a part of the day, be a part of...
Yeah, but don't I need Tom to invite me?
No, dude.
Really?
No, I have Tom's blessing. Maybe not inviting you to the school, but anyone to this. No, I'm just kidding. We have a large amount of trust within our organization. You can come by whenever, and we'll set up our space for Ticonderoga.
Dude, I can't wait.
Awesome.
Thanks so much, Pat.
Thanks, JD.
Pat Fish, right there. One of the greatest guys that I know, and what an honor it is to have him on the air, to have Sweethearts and Heroes with us every single Wednesday, right here on Aired Out is massive for me. I'm so humbled, I'm honored, and it's a big deal to be partnered up with them. It is Wednesday. Don't forget, $5 Wednesdays are at the Paramount Theater. Skip the line. Get out to a movie. FGBtheaters.com, one of our presenting sponsors and has been forever. Follow them at FGB Theaters on Facebook and Instagram for updates, for added showtimes, special events. And they do update things quite a bit, especially right around Thanksgiving. So a lot of people get out to see movies on Thanksgiving. There's a couple of blockbusters. Wicked for Good is just one of them. I mean, there's some great movies. And listen, I'll say this, and I know Rusty would back me up. If the family's driving you nuts and you need to escape from the planet for a couple of hours, Uncle Ron's had too much to drink around the Thanksgiving table, go get in the car. Go to the Capitol Theater. Go to the Paramount Theater. Go see a movie. Go by yourself. What do we have? Rain showers today. Highs around 50 degrees for your Wednesday. Tonight we got rain showers. Going to be clearing late, down around 33, and then Thanksgiving tomorrow. If you're playing some backyard football, looks like you're going to be in luck here. A few clouds from time to time on Thursday, but some sun as well, and highs around 40 degrees tomorrow. So yeah, that's that. Want to say a couple of things here this morning before I forget. Amy Anderson, Amy's Armoire. Amy was on the air yesterday. She's doing a great thing right now. She's trying to get 52. I got it reversed. 52 families and 128 kids Christmas gifts. And she's asking the community to get on amysarmoire.org and sign up. Register to be a sponsoring individual or family. We've got just under 100 kids who are on the wait list, and they're trying to do this and get this all secured by December 12th. So time is running out. It is, I know the window is pretty small here. December 12th is coming fast. So please get on, support this nonprofit thrift store and their mission to support foster families and everything else that they do, which is a huge positive in our community. They're right down the road here on North Main Street, Amy's Armoire. Get on amysarmoire.org and click right there. You'll see it. It's all over the Facebook page, too. It's all over Aired Out's Facebook page. Register your name, and let's see if we can get this list of just on, I think there's like 89 kids, I think, that are on the waiting list right now. Let's see if we can get that down to zero quickly. December 12th is coming fast. Also, the Battle in Barrie 18. Been in touch, of course, with Donnybrook Fight Promotions, and they've got a special promotion going on right now. They're giving away free tickets to the Battle in Barrie 18 on December 6th at the Barrie Auditorium. Bottom line, if you stop into Barrie Treasures, or Treasures Buried, in the Berlin Mall, if you stop into Wilkins, if you stop into Gusto's or Harrington's Food and Fuel, you're going to see a huge poster right there for the Battle in Barrie 18. Take a selfie with it. Drop it on the Aired Out page. Tag me. Tag Donnybrook Fight Promotions. Either one. And we're going to get your name into the drawing for a chance to win 2 tickets. And Rex is going to be doing this an awful lot, right up until December 5th. That's the weigh-ins up at the Barrie Auditorium, Friday, December 5th. And Rex isn't just going to give away two pairs of tickets here. He's going to give away a lot more than that. So grab a selfie and be part of this. All right? Watch the promotion. It's on the Aired Out Facebook page. You've already seen Darlene Avery. I think she was the first one to do it. But yeah, participate. Have some fun. All right? Tomorrow, Thanksgiving. G and I want to we want to give you some love. We want to give you some laugh. And we're going to be with you tomorrow morning, Thanksgiving morning, and hopefully be able to, at the absolute least, bring a smile to your face and maybe cut through some of the stress that you may be having this time of year. Friday, going to be off, Black Friday. Not going to be on the air, but we're going to try to join up with you tomorrow morning. All right? Be good. Take good care. And listen, thanks for catching the podcast this morning. Thanks to Sweethearts and Heroes for teaming up with me and for being a huge part of my mission here to connect with people on the Aired Out podcast. If there's an episode that you like, don't forget to share it, comment, and push the good word. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Take a deep breath. You're going to be all right. We'll get through this together. God bless you.